Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to call to order the Thursday, June 14th, full board meeting of the Board of Commissioners. First call of business is Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, item number 3, roll call. Please check in. Are we good with that already, Mike? Okay, good. Item number 4, invocation by Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We can bow our heads. Almighty God, thank you for the opportunity to serve the residents of Macomb County. Please guide us as we deliberate on their behalf, and please give us the intestinal fortitude to make the right decision on their behalf and not the popular one. Please continue to guide the residents, this Board of Commissioners, and all county employees to always do the right thing on behalf of Macomb County residents. In your name, Lord Jesus Christ, amen.
Item number 5, adoption of the agenda. Need a motion to adopt the agenda. Motion by Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Duge. Please vote. I don't like when he doesn't have it. I don't have it right next to me. I can see it instantly. Motion passes. Item number 6, approval of the minutes dated May 31, 2018. Need a motion to approve by Leonetti, support by Commissioner Drollet. Any discussion on this? Nope. Please vote. Motion passes 11-1. Public participation, item number 7. Any member of the public wishing to speak? Any member of the public wishing to speak? Last time, any member? Seeing none, we'll close public participation and move to item number 8, correspondence from the Office of County Executive. We don't have any specifically for this meeting, so we'll close that and go to item number 9. We have a resolution pledging full faith and credit for the North Gratiot Interceptor for the Lennox Local Drainage District, refunding the bonds, Series 218. We need a motion to adopt by Commissioner Kraft, support by Commissioner Kleinfeld. Any conversation on this? Okay, no speakers, please vote. Motion passes 11-0. Item number 10, Finance Committee recommendations. If we have any motion to approve in their, not entirety, but we can go all the way to O. Every one of those had all yes votes on them. If anyone wants to make an A through O motion to approve. P we're going to separate and talk about, and then a few after that also. So we have a motion by Caramelli and a support by Leonetti to adopt A through O. Any comments, questions on these? Seeing none, please vote. Okay, motion or item 10A through 10O passed 11-0. Item 10P, need a motion to approve budget amendment from Macomb Community Action, Office of Senior Services. And I have a motion from Duge, support by Sauger. I believe we're going to have some conversation on this. So let's see who we have on our list. Commissioner Leonetti.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank Mr. Schmiegel for giving me the information I was looking for. I don't know if all the other commissioners got it, but it was a handout here indicating the different services from the contractors. So I have an idea of, at least for 7 months of the fiscal year on what the cost of the county was for those contract employees, which I understand Mr. Cutler wants to carry over now into wages. So I appreciate that, Steve, getting that to me in less than 24 hours. It's going to help a lot with me making my decision. I do still have some questions for Gary, though, potentially, if he's coming up.
Gary's, yeah, sure. Gary, if you wouldn't mind coming up. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Commissioner Leonetti.
Thanks again, Mr. Chair. Gary, good to see you. Sorry for this one taking a little while. I just wanted to get some ducks in a row and look at some things. And I understand too that I know there's a certain number of contract employees, but you feel that there even may be less of them that we're going to hire as part-time employees?
Actually, the list that I was CC'd on that email. There's one contract person that was not in that list, so there were seven, or there's seven on your list. There's 8 we currently have.
Okay.
Again, because they're going to be employees, not contracts, I do not know if all of these contractual people will be interested in becoming part-time employees, because obviously they'll be getting paid an hourly rate instead of a per unit rate. And I know we're talking about the budget amendment, but if I can expand a little bit, I'm currently working on next year's budget, and the resource advocacy area is an area that the funding is tight, and obviously the intention is to provide the service as lean as we possibly can. So to answer your question, are we going to need 8 part-time staff to replace 8 contractors? I do not know. Certainly the intention is not to spend more money than we're currently spending to provide the same or better services.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That answered a lot of my questions. Just a few more questions if I could. The first is, how is this done in the other counties? Do you have a benchmark on how you're coming up with how you want to do this, that you're saying, hey, they do it in Lapeer County this way, this is what I want to do, or they do it best in Monroe County? What's your benchmark that you're saying this is going to be how I want to do it and it's best for the residents of Macomb County?
That I'm the fiscal person, and unfortunately, I cannot tell you what our peer communities are doing. AAA 1B is our grantor in this area. They provide grants across numerous programs that our current contracted resource advocates work in, and I'm assuming that other counties are either doing the same work with employees or contractors, but I am not knowledgeable enough to speak on that.
Okay. The next question I have is, you said that they had a unit rate, and that's how they
Yes.
were paid. No, you don't have to look it up.
Nope.
You had a
I got
unit
it
rate
right.
of how many they did, and then now it's gonna go to hourly rate, and you're not sure if they're gonna take that or not. Well, again, you guys manage your department, we're just the money people up here, right? So I look at this and I say, well, you already have a standard of what they need to produce per unit. So that should tell you how many they still should be able to produce within the hours. Because instead of switching something over, if you didn't do that study of how long does it take them to do a unit, they still should be getting paid exactly the same. So I didn't understand, if you can explain that to me.
Well, let me, not the specific of this, but let me just give you a general overview versus a contractor versus an employee. That as an employee, we as the county have additional expenses. So if I were to pay you $20 as a contractor, if you became an employee and I were to pay you $20, it would cost me $20 plus my variable fringe rate. So let's just call that 10%. So it would cost me $22 to pay you $20 in wage if I was paying you $20 before, because now it's our responsibility for those fringe benefits. So in general, the pay would have to go down for my cost to be the same. For a person to be a employee versus a contract. And going the opposite way is if I'm making $20 an hour and you wanted to contract me and give me a 1099 to do that, and you were to pay me $20 an hour, I would have to pay all my own Social Security, all my other things, so I would be making less money to work for you as a contractor at the same rate of pay. I would expect, if I thought I was worth $20 an hour as an employee, part-time employee, no benefits I'm talking about, to work for a contractor, I would need $22 an hour to make the same amount of money. The the position that these people that are currently contractors would have to, they would have to apply for that position, be willing to accept the pay range that we would be paying for that position.
And what qualifications were there for this position?
The current job
So if no
description.
one wanted to take this job, so all the people say, we don't want this, and you have to go out and hire, what are gonna be the qualifications to have this position?
The qualifications would be that of our current, what's called a field worker at our action centers. Those people currently do very similar work in processing of applications, et cetera. I'm kind of crossing divisions, but within my Office of Senior Services, providing these services to seniors, this is mainly home visitation, because a lot of our seniors are homebound and a lot of our services are intended for those homebound seniors. Where our Action Center people that do something similar, they do it for your constituents that are able to come to our Action Centers and do this. So our Action Center people will have to be providing these services, will have to travel to these seniors to provide these services. But the area of service is, these are generally applications. And again, I didn't bring a full set of copies, but I do have a copy of the different appendixes in the contract of all the different unit rates that we pay them, and I'm, again.
Let me just go a little, and I won't belabor this, I apologize to my fellow commissioners. Who notified you? Was it Corporation Counsel, Finance, IRS? Who notified you on the SS8 form, I think it's called, that this could be possibly a conflict? Who came up and said, this is a problem, we need to change it from contract to in-house?
Again, as far as official formal notification, I would say there was not necessarily one. Every time that I or my department processes a contract service, I have that discussion with either Steve or more times than not, it's Steve's deputy finance director, Steve Adair. We have the conversation on what the person's doing. So this is, in the finance area and doing contracts, this is a normal conversation I have. I sign off in our area on the contracts. The finance department signs off on the contracts. Again, our intention is not to ever violate anything, so we have these conversations. After I learned of some of the activities being done by our contracted employees, these people were, as far as I was concerned, they were right on that line as it was. And then when for what we're calling the Medicare Part D enrollments, we had them at specific locations, and to me, we crossed over. Again, I have no IRS determination. I'm not standing in front of you telling you that we've been found, that we've done anything wrong.
And I respect that. So you've seen a red flag, and this is a concern, and this is why it's happening, because you see there possibly
we look
could be
at
a
it
problem.
regularly, and in this
So,
case,
And this is what begs the next question. We didn't benchmark what they're doing on other communities. We are contracted individually with these individuals. It's not a company. This is an individual contracts.
correct.
Have we looked at contracting a company and still paying the same amount of money, and how they slice the pie as theirs, as long as we're getting the production of those units
Okay.
done at the same?
Let me back up a little bit here. I don't know that, unfortunately, from my position, my former division director over Office of Senior Services is now with Gleaners. So I don't know that she did or did not bench. This could be a copy of the best practices someplace else in the county. And it may be, or it may not be. It may be something, again, she was an excellent division director, very innovative thinking. This could have been completely her work and not taken from anyone else, for all I know. But she's not here for me to know that information, if it came from someone else or not, and is not benchmarked with someone else's
So
production.
I'll leave it with this. and any other commissioner can speak. I know your intentions are honorable. I know what you want to do is you want to do what you think is the right thing. I know finance thinks it's, what you're doing, believes it to be the right thing, but being that there's no notification, being that we don't know if there's other options other than putting people on the payroll in the county and changing from contract, I'm not warm and fuzzy personally on it, but that's just one commissioner, all right? So I do appreciate what you're doing, and I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I don't have enough information personally to say, yes, this is the right thing we should be doing. I don't have enough for myself to make that decision. So I just wanted to let you know that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Kleinfeld, you were on, then off. You're off? Okay, good. I don't have anybody else on the list, but I would like to maybe get a comment from, I'm not sure, Mr. Shapka, if you have any comment on this, or Mr. Smeagol. I kind of agree with Commissioner Carabelli, although I'm not opposed to doing the right thing for the right reasons. It's more of a feeling, it feels like, that it might be a problem rather than like, hey, listen, we've seen it, we've checked with other communities, this is what's coming, this is what we need to do. And that's what I'm getting out of this, and I'm not opposed to doing it, but I think the same thing, unless someone is, that there's a little more to it. We do have a meeting in 2 weeks, and we have a meeting, in a couple weeks after that. I personally would like to just hear about it a little more before we add more people to our payroll, so to speak, even though it's part-time. So anyway, Steve, if you wouldn't mind, and John.
I guess the first thing is, my understanding from Gary is this could actually be cheaper by bringing it in-house than it would be by paying somebody as a contractor. One.
That is my belief, that cost-wise, that if I'm looking at $34, which is the bulk of the work that these people do, is the $34 unit. Now, again, I am not their supervisor, I'm not watching their day-to-day activity, and there's, in addition to filling out an application, and I do volunteer taxes, and I can tell you that two individuals that have the same thing, one might take an hour to do something, and another one I can be done in 15 minutes. So,
Right.
again, these things will vary, but
So,
looking at these applications and things, I would think that I should be able to have staff do them at a cheaper cost than that $34 per unit.
right, and that's, and I'll get back to you in a second, Steve, but that's great, but it is kind of a feeling, and we're not sure, number one. Number two, I understand that, I think contract workers, on one hand, probably can do more work theoretically, but I don't think they take the time that that the workers from the county actually put towards the individuals that they're serving. So there's a difference there, right? So almost based on that, I would think that contract workers would technically do more work, even though not as well, I think, as contract workers. So I see that almost being the opposite, that you would need more in-house workers, because I know how you guys work. You go the extra mile and you do, what you have to do for people, where contract workers don't have that. So believe me, I'm for this. I just want to make sure that we're not going on, I think it's going to be cheaper, I think this is what we should do. But anyway,
Well,
Steve,
I would
know
say
you
this is going to be no more expensive, put it that way.
but
So it's a cost-neutral proposition at the worst case, so I'll put it that way. The best case, we save money by bringing it in-house, because if you have a contractor, I don't know the particulars about how the unit prices were developed. I would expect a contractor to include, as part of their service or their cost, the cost of health insurance for themselves, and liability insurance, and workers' comp insurance, and all those sorts of things. So by bringing them in-house and making them part-time, we're at least saving on the healthcare side of that. Now, we still have to pay workers' comp and that sort of thing. So again, from my perspective, it's cost neutral. At no case are we gonna pay more. We could pay less. Relative to the independent contractor employee determination,
Point of information, if I could. The problem is, we don't know how many they're gonna be. So you don't know if it's gonna be more or less, because you may have 8, it could be 6, it could be a
but
whole
we
different
have
number.
X dollars to provide the service. So we're limited by that constraint, which is in the budget today. So relative to the determination, we are trying to avoid an issue. Gary's gone through, conferred with my office relative to, we think based on the nature of their work and how it's assigned and all these other sorts of things, that we are on the, kind of the line of
Right.
whether we're independent contractors or not. So I would rather side on the, or, err on the side of caution and become independent or employees, and relative to however other folks are doing it, somebody else might be doing it as a
Right.
contractor and they may be doing it wrong. So just because somebody else is doing it one way
Granted.
doesn't mean it's
Right.
right necessarily.
Okay, and then, so before I ask John to give me a answer in 2 words or less, whether he agrees or not, I'm just kidding.
Just trying to answer your question.
I would like, I'm getting to you, Andre. Do we need to change this amount that we're requesting, though? I believe that we had a little
I
issue
think
with the.
Gary's indicating the
So we'd
amount
have to
could
make an
change.
amendment.
When first of all, we're pretty much at the point in the year where by the time that we would post positions, get applications and stuff, this really probably isn't going to take effect now until next fiscal year anyways. That being said, obviously if you guys are not hearing, if you're not interested in making this transition, in the budget that I have built for next year, I have built the budget on us having staff being the field worker, and the maximum salary for that position is $16.16 an hour in
Okay.
$2018.
So, I just, let me clarify, you're saying that even if we approved, obviously we would be at half of this maybe today, because it's not 240, but let's say we approved 120 today, you still don't see them starting and getting everything done till next year, so do we need to do it now, or do we need to worry about it more for the budget discussions coming up?
Again, if the dollar amount, right now, I only have $120,000 left in that line item to spend, so I couldn't move the 240 that I had asked for anyways. I mean, that's the facts. In addition to, and I'll back up here, is that in addition to having contracts with 8 individuals to provide these services, we also have 3 groups. We have Southeastern Michigan Indians. We have Chaldean Ladies of Charity, and we have the Association of Chinese Americans that provide these services for special language barriers, et cetera, that our staff does not reach. So I've got contracts with 3 agencies that I'm planning to continue to have because they are and in that case, they're not employees, they're working for someone else.
So, but do you understand my question? Because it almost seems like we're questioning something that isn't going to take effect till next year, which would then be determined by our budget determination coming up when you bring your new
Right.
budget to us.
But if the board does not want to make this transition in next year's budget, I will change it back to contracted services, because I can tell you, Macomb Community Action is on a fiscal
right.
year, and new positions that I put in your budget are never approved until January, and obviously, we need to have services provided between October and when you guys finally approve the budget.
Right. So, but this is generally, we probably won't be spending this 120 grand on employees. We'll still be spending it the rest of this year mostly on contract workers, even if we approve to go to this.
Correct.
I just want to be clear on that.
The process, first of all, just an additional note is that Macomb Community Action, because of budgetary concerns, I put a hiring freeze in place for 20 weeks. So if someone leaves our agency, we have a 20-week hiring freeze, which the division directors have the ability to come to senior leadership in cases of unique positions or second person leaving a position to make a case for replacing that person prior to the 20-week freeze. But I've got some real budgetary constraints over there. But again, we need to be providing services continually. So in October, either I want to be providing them with staff based upon you approving this today or
Okay.
with contract services.
I got it. And I see you on there, Andre and Rob, but I just want to still, since I mentioned, John, can you give me, do you think we're heading in the right direction with this? Is it a concern of yours? And does finance talk to you about this type of thing too? And I don't, like I said, I'm not opposed to
Two
this.
words or less.
Yes or no? Sorry.
I can't do it in yes or no.
All right.
I can't speak to the fiscal aspects. I'll always defer to Steve on that. Whether this is something that must be done, should be done, or would be nice to do, I really don't have enough facts to offer an opinion off the top of my head, and I don't want to shoot from the hip on this. Gary does make some points. An independent contractor may be construed by the IRS as an employee regardless of what we think they are. And that's dependent on the amount of control we exercise over their day-to-day work, whether we provide them the tools for the work, whether we provide them the place for the work. So calling them an independent contractor may not actually hold up. And we may be in some trouble if we're not doing all the withholdings from the contractor's paycheck if the IRS says, no, they were employees.
Right.
But quite honestly, to give you a definitive answer, I'd really have to have a lot of facts.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Duche.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Although I understand some of the conversation and consternation as far as going forward on this, the line item in the budget is $240,000 for contract services, and that's the number that we started at. That's the number that's going to be on the budget at the end of the year. How Gary spends it or not is debatable. He may not spend all of it, but that's the number in the budget. And we are in the middle of the year. The IRS might be a government institution, but the IRS has no sense of humor, and the IRS could care less about what you think. You can want to 1099 everybody till you're blue in the face, but if they disagree with it, and after just talking with Gary, there's enough reasoning behind it to say that, no, these are probably more employees than contractors. I think both Steve and Gary should be commended on going down this route as opposed to getting clobbered by IRS and getting hit by fines about it. I think we can do a better job in-house than farming it out. I think our employees, at some of the numbers that have been mentioned, we're talking 8 people originally. Will it be 8 people going forward? Depends. But I think we have to work with Gary so he can put a budget together for next year, whether we like it or not. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good. You go ahead,
So,
Steve, if you have something.
again, just as a matter of history, different set of circumstances, just to let the board know, we had this issue about 10 years ago in mental health, where we actually did go through a process with the IRS, and we were found out of compliance. So anytime I get a chance to kind of push us toward compliance, I go there. And what happened in that circumstance was the IRS didn't come to us. The contractor went to the IRS. Because I believe they got in trouble with their tax return because they weren't making their estimated payments. And they said, oh, I'm not a contractor, I'm an employee. And sure enough, we went through the test and they were an employee. So I'm just trying to avoid that again.
So,
Because you never know when somebody's gonna,
all right.
get in
Since you're-
trouble and then.
And Rob, you're next, but since you're on this, I know we have, IT has a ton of contractors. We have a lot of contract employees, contract workers for the county. Do you do this with everybody? I mean, look at all of these?
Yeah, it all
because
depends, like with IT, it all
it's your-
depends on.
I mean, I thought a few of our IT people actually worked for us, and then I find out that they don't, but I'm just
It all
telling you
depends on
that.
what, as John said, it all depends on how we direct their work. Do we provide them workspace? Do we provide them equipment? Do we provide this, provide that? There's this Form SS8 that Commissioner Carabelli referred to. There's probably 50 questions on that thing,
All right. well,
40 to 50. So,
Personally, I'd like to see that in the future for our contract workers, that where we are looking at it as
Yeah,
closely
we're-
as
we're
we're
implementing
grilling
that.
Gary on this right now,
we've
too.
had those discussions within my office.
Okay, good.
So-
Commissioner Leonetti?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, that kind of goes along with what I was thinking too. I mean, Gary, I appreciate the proactive, sense of looking at this, and Steve too, and saying this could be a problem. And this part here really helped solve my concerns because, again, I have no idea. When I look at a budget, I see contract services. I see like a bigger amount than $240,000. It's everything you have in there for your department. So it's very hard for me to, without seeing, okay, what exactly are you paying these specific 8 people, to understand how you want to take that amount and then put it into wages. Because I didn't know if you were paying them 120 and now you're trying to get 240,000 out of services. That's part of the problem I had with the process of how you came here. The other thing too, and again, and I understand you're being proactive, there's a lot of unanswered questions. I don't know if I'm going to have all 8 of them come. I might only have 4 of them come. You know what I mean? Maybe $16 isn't the right market price. Maybe it should be a higher amount. So there's a lot of unanswered questions, and I appreciate your honesty and candor in it. And I hope you understand why some of us are just, we're just doing our jobs in terms of due diligence to make sure that, everything's being spent wisely and everything's being done wisely. I have no doubt that you're doing it with good intentions. We just have to overlook that, and it sometimes can be difficult. But I appreciate the information that you've given today. Thanks.
Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. You'll have to excuse me. I need my memory refreshed on something. These are these grant funds? Or did I already ask you that like 2 months ago and you gave me the same face? Because that's kind of what I'm thinking happened.
Okay. Now, these people that do this work across 6 programs. And we'll just go with one specific program being Meals on Wheels. This board sends $466,000 to the Meals on Wheels program. So for me to say that they're grant funds isn't really true, because you guys, the county, gives $466,000 dedicated specifically to Meals on Wheels.
Okay.
And once you give me that money, it's pretty much commingled.
All right.
Whether I...
Well, the cross-funding thing, I mean, usually with a grant, you have to be able to account for all the bodies. So I'm a little
yes,
surprised
we do account, okay, so, and my budget is different than everyone else's in the county because I have very few people that work in one program only. When I worked in the finance department, all my time was charged to the finance department. If you saw my timesheet, I charge myself to Office of Senior Services Administration, which is who I'm representing here today.
I mean, I understand that.
But these
even if
people work across multiple
even if they're
areas.
working across, when you have a grant, you usually have to account for, even if it's a tenth of a body and another tenth, you're usually having to be very specific and account for those in case of an auditing situation, I'm assuming.
Well, I had auditors
So
in
because
today,
of that,
yes.
I think that you would know if it's grant money or not, because I didn't think you could just sort of commingle them. But I'm not against the concept. I just wanted to know that because I believe if it was from a grant and it was that clear, I think that we are on firm ground, because I have a situation very specific to this that's an actual full-time employee, not a part-time employee paid for out of a grant, and it's a 1099 situation. So it's part-time employees. We're talking about the same amount of dollars. I'm not gonna knock myself out over this one, but I do want to know, how do we fix the dollar amount then? He said he doesn't have the over 200,000. Now it's down to 122,000.
Well,
And that's not what is in front of us.
I guess you could make an amendment to the motion to reduce the dollars. or
We could make an amendment, but if we were gonna make an amendment, I would like the exact number so it
Exact
was in there.
dollars.
And secondly, if we're not gonna really use it this year, can we make a policy decision and say we would vote for this in the next year's budget and not have to worry about the numbers for this one? I mean, I would be for saying, at the end of the day, I would be for saying, yes, you can do this. We don't have to mess with these numbers right now because you just told us you're not even gonna get to these numbers
Just
with
do it in the
workers.
next
Yeah,
year.
I mean,
And
my
that's what
concern is, to at least get the recognition of the issue so we can start making that
No,
transition.
no, I was
That's what
thinking
I-
exactly
yeah.
the same thing he was thinking. If he's not gonna get this accomplished till next budget year, the least we should do today is say we're not gonna do this to him again during budget, that we're going to
Right.
accept the premise.
Yes, and I agree. I don't know how to go about doing that, but as soon as Commissioner Romano talks, I'm going to work with
Okay, that's
figuring
all
out
I-
how to make an amendment to this motion, maybe to do something like that. And then it does give us a little more time to get a few more questions answered between now and the budget season.
So start working that out, Steve. Thank you.
Oops, sorry, Commissioner Romano.
Thank you, Chair. Mine's kind of just short. I kind of agree with Commissioner Chair, Vice Chair Carabelli, and I agree with Commissioner Leonetti in that we don't even know if these people are interested in this. We don't even know if the IRS is going to step in. I mean, I've been an independent contract employee for most of my adult life, and I 1099 every year, and that fine line is always in there. Where do I work? What's my workstation? What are my duties? Am I obligated to do them? So on, to quote you, Mr. Ducey, so on and so forth. So my point is, without that information, I'm kind of at a loss. I'm kind of wandering around in here, so I just wanted to give you my 2 cents on it. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. So I'm gonna go out on a limb here based on what I've been hearing and recommend that, since I don't like making motions like this on the fly, I would recommend that maybe we vote this down and ask you to bring it back to the committee meeting. This is Commissioner Duge's, maybe in a format that would allow us to approve this for the 2019 budget. So that way you would know going in that that would be the direction you can go without us doing this again, but we don't have to worry about numbers or anything at this point, since you just told us that that's really probably not going to happen in this situation. So we can do it however, but we have a motion on the floor to approve this. I guess I just want to let you know that if I vote no for it, it's gonna be because I want this language to reflect that instead of a budget amendment that we don't need.
Could I suggest that you make the budget amendment at 20% of those dollar amounts, which would give me enough money to put this in effect for the month of September, so we'll go into the next budget cycle with those positions already
20% of the 2,400? 20% of the 240,000, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Because we would have to make an amendment to this anyway for
Point of
monetary
information.
reasons.
Steve, if you got a second, please, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead. I'm
Please
sorry.
advise us that we can't make a motion to a budget on percentages of numbers, that it has to be an actual dollar figure that we're making an amendment to. And
I
without
would
that,
prefer a flat dollar, some kind of a dollar,
So-
set dollar.
I
amount.
don't believe that a
48,000.
dollar figure, even on a month, unless you came back next meeting
For-
and said, here's the
48,000
number, and here's what.
48,000 would be the amount. Again, just to, my budget is due to Steve's office before your next meeting, but, again, however you want to do it,
Mr. Chairman, I believe that we have to have an exact dollar figure, and it has to be verified from finance, and then I believe a motion can take place. I don't want to do a percentage. That's just me personally. Thank you.
So I have Commissioner Kleinfeld and then Commissioner Toko, and I know we could, we have a meeting in 2 weeks, we could vote to postpone this until then, just to get the numbers correct for your purposes and still take care of what you need to take care of.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, because somehow, I hadn't, that's what I was trying to do, was get to the dollar amount so that we can settle the issue. That's all I want to do. I'm not that hung up on whether or not you can have them. Other commissioners need to think about that. But we need to get the correct dollar amount so that we can do this, because you gave us a letter that said the numbers in front of you aren't correct. Well, now we can't approve them. We know they're not correct. So would you be okay with bringing the correct dollars to us, the dollar amount, at the next meeting so that we could approve it? Does that,
certainly.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so unless anybody thinks different and they would like to speak on it, I'll look to it. If we could maybe get a motion to postpone this until the next finance meeting. by Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Drollet. Then we can just move this forward and come back with the exact numbers that you would need, and then get what you're looking for, and then it would be a lot cleaner than what we're looking at right now.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second. Any more conversation on postponing it? Great. Can I have a vote on that, please? Motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Duge voting no. Next finance, correct. No, next finance meeting, because that's in 2 weeks. I moved it to finance. We only have 2 meetings at the end of this month, finance and full board. So we can get it taken care of still this month.
2 weeks from yesterday.
Yes. All right, so vote is 11-1 with Commissioner Duge voting no. So we're going to keep on with item 10Q, budget amendment, purchasing department, Fund 1 position, mail services clerk. Need a motion to approve by Commissioner Carabelli, supported by Commissioner Kleinfeld. Any conversation on this? Seeing none, please vote. Motion passes 11-1 with Commissioner Drollet voting no. Item 10R, waived item, budget amendment, Parks Fund position, 1 maintenance supervisor. Need a motion to approve. Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Leonetti. Please vote. Motion passes 11-1. Commissioner Drollet voting no. 10S, budget amendment, Health Department funding a position, 1 public health nurse. Need a motion to approve. Commissioner Lucido, supported by Commissioner Duge. Any conversation on this? Please vote. Motion, I think I saw 11-1 with Commissioner Drollet voting no. Okay. 10T, budget amendment, information technology fund position for 1 database administrator. Need a motion to approve. Commissioner Brown, supported by Commissioner Sauger. No conversation, please vote. Motion passed 11-1 with Commissioner Drollet voting no. Commissioner 10U, budget amendment, planning and economic development, fund a position for associate planner. A motion to approve. Commissioner Leonetti, support. Commissioner Toko. Please vote. That was you, right? You paying attention? All right. Mike, I think it flashed on me, and was it 11-1? Commissioner Drollet voting no? All right. Item 10V, budget amendment of Sheriff's Office, fund a position, part-time fire department EMS liaison. Moved by Lucido, supported by Kraft. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote.
Just a clarification that it says no vote from Commissioner Gillette on the agenda. That's incorrect.
I'm voting yes on it.
That was my no vote.
Okay, well, we'll see your no vote here, maybe.
Somebody please vote no.
There we go. Pass 11-1, no vote on Commissioner Kleinfeld. 10W, settlement agreement, 41A District Court, case 18-1035-SC. Need a motion to approve or concur? Sorry, concur for Romano motion, support by Leonetti. Any discussion? Go ahead, Commissioner Kleinfeld.
John, there was a question at the table. I believe by voting on the iPad, we are fulfilling the roll call vote. There was a question as to whether or not it had to be a voice roll call vote. And the other one was, do they have to be voted on separately? We did end up voting on them separately yesterday, but those two we need to know going forward.
The questions were forwarded to my office this morning, and we've decided that voting by the iPad is sufficient.
Okay.
Does not require an actual voice vote. Individually, you're voting, they're recorded individually, so it is a roll call vote.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Secondarily?
Yes.
Did he talk about separating them?
He's saying we're voting on them individually. You're saying we can't group them, John. You said we cannot group them.
I don't know, he didn't answer that part.
No, I didn't say. I
Oh,
just
you
talked
didn't
about
answer
the roll
that.
call vote.
Yep. So can we lump them together, or do we have to separate each
Talking W and.
W and X in
X.
this case, right?
We lumped them together yesterday, and Commissioner Leonetti was concerned, so we separated them out, and we just wanted to know.
I think a better course of action is vote them separately.
Okay.
They are separate amounts outlaying.
Okay.
Did I say Leonetti? It ends.
Okay, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Carabelli.
And the reason I brought that up is that also when we do bonding, I know in the past, it had to be a physical voice vote, and I just want to make sure that all this is all good.
This is all good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Seeing nobody else with the vowel at the end of their name, please vote. Nah, I know. All right. All right, motion passes 12-0. 10X, settlement agreement, Macomb Circuit Court Case 17-002092-CZ. Need a motion to approve. Commissioner Sauger, supported by Commissioner Carabelli. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. Motion passes 12-0. Item 11, proclamations. Anybody like to motion to adopt these in their entirety by Commissioner Drolet, supported by Commissioner Carabelli? Commissioner Romano, sorry. Yes, but if you look at 12, we have 12. Okay, thanks. So motion to approve them all? Okay. Please vote. What's that? Oh, okay, great. Motion passes 12-0. Item number 12, presentation proclamation appreciating Scott, who is that? Scott G. Smith for his 7 years as independent counsel. Scott, I'm going to walk up there. I'll be right there. Come on up. So this is 2 days in a row I have to read more than I normally would read just because of the person I'm giving this to. It deserves a lot more, and I'm sure a lot of us are going to have a lot of things to say to you. First, I'd just like to personally thank you for all the work that you've done for our board, and the things that you've taught me on how to just take things in stride. And I think I've only seen you upset in the 7 years, and although I didn't have every meeting with you, with Dave or with Kathy at the time, I was not sitting in on those, so I'm sure there might have been a time. But the way that you hold yourself when things are going every direction is something that I think all the board members have seen and appreciate. Your calm demeanor and, in the tense situations it has been appreciated, and you can tell that, we've kept you around for 7 years, so we must like something about what you've done. I will say that, and I'm sure everybody might have a story or two after this, but I think I seen you at a loss for words one time, and that was when our former clerk seriously asked you, "Hey, have you ever heard of the Court of Appeals?" And I saw your face go. Yes, I have, as a matter of fact. So, let me read this, and then let me let some of the commissioners talk. Whereas the Macomb County Board of Commissioners would like to commend Scott G. Smith for his 7 years of dedicated service as independent counsel to the Macomb County Board of Commissioners. Whereas Scott began representing the Macomb County Board of Commissioners as independent counsel in 2011 with Clark Hill, and has remained with the board through the leadership and priority changes of 3 different board chairs. Scott quickly became a trusted member of the BOC staff, and his steady advice and counsel guided the board in understanding its role through the first years of the creation of the charter and the various changes this entailed. He brought successful outcomes to litigation, guided the board in writing sound policy, and served as liaison between the board and other legal counsel organizations and entities. Whereas Scott's successes in his career, not just one success, are evident in the many awards he's received recognizing his impressive accomplishments. And this is one of those things that you gotta love, about Scott. Most of us probably don't even realize some of the accomplishments, and that's because you would never hear them from him. These include top rankings as one of the best lawyers in America, not just 1 year, but from 2012 to 2018. Lawyer of the Year in 2017, Michigan Super Lawyers 2012 through 2015, and Thought Leader in Law by West Michigan Business Review 2010. Scott's co-authored publications, spoken at numerous conferences and seminars, and served as counsel for many Michigan communities, intergovernmental entities, brownfield redevelopments authorities, and other bodies and entities. He'll surely be a success in his new challenge as in-house counsel for the city of Wyoming. And what a lucky city they are. So, Scott, whereas the Board of Commissioners extends their best wishes and express their appreciation and recognition for you, for your calm demeanor, humble attitude, sense of humor, steady guidance, and grace under fire during even the most challenging situations. So on behalf of all the county residents and the commissioners, we want to publicly commend, acknowledge, and express appreciation and best wishes to you, and thank you for your 7 years of service.
Thank you.
All right. And normally, this doesn't come with a gift, but now it comes with a gift. So since you're here, why not? I think the board would like it. And then while you're doing that, maybe a few of the commissioners might want to speak. Commissioner Brown, we'll start with you, and then we'll
Thank you.
move forward.
Your wise counsel was key to having this new form of government we have go relatively as smoothly as possible. I mean, we've had our issues, but you were a key player at key times when Commissioner Vosberg, former Chairwoman Vosberg, was here and dealing with various issues about the purchasing policy, the first iterations of our purchasing policy, the first anything. Starting this board off, a commissioner getting us on the right foot and guiding us. At times we're hot heads, but we wanted to, fight and say, well, let's sue and let's do this or do that. You maintained a cool demeanor, and just your whole team, of course. You're the head of the whole team behind you, but your counsel was key, and it really made a difference. It really made a difference having the right person advise us legally on how to succeed. And the proof's in the pudding, right? We're undefeated in court. So that's pretty good. So I think that's a statement that's worth recognizing as well. But your experience and background and depth have definitely come through, and congratulations on sending off to the blue skies of the West. But again, thank you very much. I really respect your opinions, and you've taught me a lot of things, and you've got character in it, so definitely appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll take it from here since I don't have a computer in front of me. Go ahead, Jim.
Scott, we have not agreed on a lot of issues, and we've agreed on some. But all the stuff we did disagree with, we worked through it, and you finally came to light and seen it my way. No, I'm just kidding. But I appreciate you being straightforward and not just sugarcoating and telling us what we wanted to hear, and that you led us on a path of what was right. And that, to me, is important, is to know that we're going down the right path and making the right decision and not letting us not think that we're right and we're really wrong. And to me, that means a lot, especially from an attorney. So thank you very much, and I wish you nothing but success in the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. You know, Scott, so I'm new to the commission, and, you know, I've been an attorney for 22 years, and the coolest thing about it was saying, God, I have my own attorney now that I could bounce ideas off of, and so it was really nice, and I'm really glad that we had you there, especially with the situation that we had with the last clerk. It was always good to bounce ideas off you, and I always appreciated your thoughts and what you had to say. So it was a real pleasure having you. So I will miss you. I know Pete will fill in pretty good, but I'll definitely miss, you know, and it was a great experience. I am going out to Grand Rapids in 2 weeks, so if I get a speeding ticket, right, I can call you, or any of my clients out in Wyoming, right, in the city of Wyoming, we can talk to you, right? So,
In Wyoming, you can.
you got it. Thanks again. Thank you.
Thanks, and Pete will take care of this new clerk. All right, so. Hi, Madam Clerk, how are you? Commissioner Romano.
Here. Scott, I've only known you for about a year and a half, but I've had experiences with the attorneys all 20-some years on the city council. I've gone through probably at least half a dozen of them. And honestly, I have to commend you. You're one of the few attorneys, we have some here also, that is extremely straightforward. I use that terminology, and I'm going to use it for you. You do not do the two-snip, and I appreciate that. You ask a question, you're going to get a direct answer. He's not going to dance around it. He's going to tell you, right or wrong, the way it should be. And I really did. I appreciated that, and I'm really sorry to see you go, because I think we could have had in fact, I know we have a good relationship, but when you're in Wyoming, which is in Grand Rapids, look up my son, who's director of pharmacy for the Spectrum Hospitals, and get another position while you're there. Nice to have you. I'm sorry that you're leaving us, Scott. Thank you.
All right, Scott, I'm going to end this with a kind of doubling up on what Commissioner Carabelli said. I say that the best thing out of all the great things that you've done for us is that when you think we're right, you tell us we're right, and you're 1,000% behind it. And when you think that we're wrong, you tell us that you think we're wrong, and you don't just want to go to court just to go to court. You don't just want to win just to win. You want to win because it's the right thing to do. And I've had several times over the years where you said, you guys are going the wrong direction on this. And you have to learn to appreciate, something like that. This board, and that's why, this board is where it is right now. I don't think, and it's with your guidance, a lot of it, that we go places we're not supposed to go. And you've helped us with that direction, and everybody appreciates it. And I've talked to Dave earlier today, and I know that he extends his best wishes to you also. So, Scott, thank you very much. And if you'd like, the mic's yours. And we can wait till after. We'll take a picture maybe with everybody, and you don't have to open the present at the meeting.
Well, I don't have much to say.
This is John. This isn't Mr. Shapka.
It's been a privilege to serve as this commission's legal counsel. It's a special privilege to have done so during the formative years of the new charter. As county officials explored what it means and how it works. Along the way, we've had some unique interactions with unique personalities. Some have been so extraordinary that if they were put in a sitcom, nobody would believe it. They'd find it too outlandish. They may lead to some new maxims, like those who fear smart meters may, if elected, interface poorly with electronic devices. Or those who make no sense during public comments do not make more sense if elected. One pleasure has been getting to know so many commissioners who, although having different personalities and differing perspectives, have always pursued the best interest of the county's citizens. You recognize the importance of this body and the role it plays in the home rule form of county government. All of you, and all previous commissioners, strive to ensure county government is open and accountable. I've not seen this body do something that's purely political just to make a political point. And while some have been tempted to do that at times, the debate and the dialogue is always what's the right thing to do. So it hasn't been me, but it's been all of you who are striving for the right path. We've had some interesting experiences. We've had vetoes and overrides. We've had lawsuits, a subpoena of a county official. That happens pretty rarely. And other unique experiences. We've shared bewilderment at times, right? Frustration at times, some laughs, and more than a few eye rolls. For me, a new season ensues. I have two grandsons who were born at the end of 2016, triplets born on April 27th, and another grandchild born last Friday. For those counting, that's 6 grandkids under 2. It's been exhilarating, challenging, thought-provoking, and a lot of times it's been fun working with and serving you. Thanks. And I'll let you adjourn the meeting.
Yeah. Item number 13, new business. Any commissioners with new business? Commissioner Sauger.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers this Sunday. And I'd like to recognize our clerk and register of deeds here. It's nice to see you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other new business? All right. Public participation. Any member of the public wishing to speak? Going once, twice. Public participation is closed. Need a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Leonetti, supported by Commissioner Romano. All in favor, please vote. All right, meeting adjourned.